Kethlar pressed his four clawed fingers against the cold metal wall of Research Station Theta 7. The stars beyond the window looked the same as always, but something felt different today. His green skin had turned a darker shade, which happened when his species felt worried. The message had come 3 days ago. A new species had appeared in the outer systems. They called themselves humans. The Vorthak Confederation needed someone to watch them and report back. Kethlar had been a military observer for 20 years. He had seen many new species join the Confederation. This should be normal work. But nothing about this felt normal. Observer Kethlar, please report to the main conference room. The voice came through the station's speakers. Dr. Veltaran, the station commander, sounded tired. Kethlar walked through the curved hallways of the station. His heavy boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. Other aliens moved past him. Tall blue, Zephyrians, short fuzzy Mollans, and crystal-like beings from the Centauri systems. All of them looked nervous. The conference room was large and round, with a huge window showing the gas giant below. Dr. Veltaran stood near a large screen showing star maps. Her tentacles moved in quick patterns, which meant she was thinking hard. Kethlar, thank you for coming, she said. Her voice made bubbling sounds through her breathing mask. We need to talk about our new visitors. The screen changed to show images of ships. They were not like Confederation vessels, which were smooth and curved. These ships had sharp edges and looked like weapons. Gun ports covered their hulls. Their design screamed of war. These are human ships, Dr. Veltaran explained. They arrived in the Outer Rim 2 months ago. They have set up bases on 4 worlds already. They work very fast. Kethlar studied the images. Have they attacked anyone? No. They ask permission first. They follow our laws. But... Dr. Veltaran paused. Look at this. The screen showed a human city on a barren planet. Massive walls surrounded it. Defense towers pointed at the sky. Even from space, the city looked like a fortress ready for war. They build everything like they expect to fight, Dr. Veltaran said. Their trade ships carry weapons. Their mining equipment can be turned into bombs. Even their farming tools look dangerous. Kethlar felt his skin getting darker. What do they want? Trade. Knowledge. They seem friendly enough. But the Council is worried. We have had peace for 3,000 years. These humans make everyone nervous. The door opened with a soft hiss. Another alien entered. Commander Raxthor of the Confederation, Defense Force. His blue skin was covered in the ritual scars of his people. He had fought in the last real war 50 years ago. The humans will arrive soon, Raxthor said. Their diplomat ship just entered our space. We will meet with them. In 1 hour, Dr. Veltaran nodded. Kethlar, I want you to watch everything. Study how they act. Try to understand what they really want. The next hour passed slowly. Kethlar reviewed the files about humans. They came from a planet called Earth, located in a small system on the galaxy's edge. Their world had one large moon and supported many different forms of life. The humans were the dominant species. What worried Kethlar was their history. The files spoke of constant wars. Humans had fought each other for thousands of years. They had nearly destroyed their own planet several times. Only recently had they stopped fighting and worked together to reach the stars. The alarm chimed softly. The human ship was docking. Kethlar made his way to the main docking bay. A small crowd of Confederation officials waited there. Everyone looked nervous. Even the guards seemed worried. though they tried to hide it. The airlock opened with a sharp sound. 3 humans walked out. Kethlar had seen pictures, but seeing real humans was different. They were shorter than most Confederation species, but looked strong. Their skin was pale pink, and hair grew from the tops of their heads. But their eyes were the most unsettling thing. They moved constantly, checking everything, measuring distances, looking for threats that were not there. The leader was a human male. He wore a dark blue uniform with metal symbols on his chest. "I am Admiral Dong-Wu of the United Earth Space Navy," he said. His voice was steady and calm. "Thank you for meeting with us." Behind him walked a female human in civilian clothes. "Dr. Heejin," she said with a small bow. "I study alien cultures and languages." The third human said nothing. He stood slightly behind the others, his eyes never stopping their movement around the room. Everything about him screamed, "Soldier!" Commander Raxthor stepped forward. "Welcome to Research Station Theta-7. I am Commander Raxthor. We are pleased to meet your species." Admiral Dongwu smiled, but the expression did not reach his eyes. "We are honored by this meeting. Humanity has waited long to find other intelligent life." Dr. Veltarin led them to the conference room. As they walked, Kethlar noticed how the humans moved. Their steps were quiet. They stayed close together, but not too close. Each one could move quickly if needed. Even the scientist, Dr. Heejin, walked like someone ready for danger. In the conference room, everyone sat around the large table. The humans chose seats near the exit. Kethlar took notes on everything. "Tell us about your species," Dr. Veltarin said. Admiral Dongwu folded his hands on the table. "Humanity is young compared to your Confederation. We have been in space for only 200 years, but we learn quickly. Your ships are very advanced for such a young species," Commander Raxthor observed. Dr. Hyajin spoke up. "We had good teachers. War makes technology grow fast." The room became quiet. Kethlar felt his skin turn almost black with worry. "War?" Dr. Veltarin asked carefully. "Yes," Admiral Dongwu said simply. "Humanity has just finished the Unity Wars. 100 years of fighting across our entire planet. It ended 50 Earth years ago." Commander Raxthor leaned forward. "A century of war? Why did you fight for so long?" Admiral Dongwu's eyes grew distant. "Resources, territory, ideas about how people should live, the usual reasons." He paused. "But we learned from it. War taught us many things." Kethlar wrote quickly in his notes. A species that had fought for 100 years. No wonder their ships looked like weapons. Dr. Heejin pulled out a small device. It projected images in the air above the table. "We bring gifts of knowledge, music, art, science, history. We hope to trade and learn from your people." The images were beautiful. Human cities gleamed under blue skies. Their art showed great skill. Their music was complex and moving. But Kethlar noticed something else. Even in the peaceful images, there were hints of their violent past. Monuments to wars, military parades, weapons displayed as art. "We would be happy to trade with humanity," Dr. Veltarin said. "The Confederation always welcomes peaceful species." "We are very peaceful now," Admiral Dongwu said. "We have no desire to fight unless we must protect ourselves." Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout the station. Red lights flashed. The station's computer spoke in urgent tones. Long-range sensors detect unknown fleet approaching. All personnel to emergency stations. Everyone stood up quickly. Commander Raxthor touched his communication device. Report! A voice crackled through. Sir, massive fleet detected. Unknown design, moving at incredible speed. They will reach us in 6 hours. Kethalar watched the humans' reaction. They did not look surprised or afraid. Instead, their faces became very calm. Admiral Dongwu spoke quietly to the silent human, who nodded and left the room quickly. It seems our meeting must be short, Admiral Dongwu said. We should prepare for visitors. Dr. Haijin was already putting away her device. Admiral, should we contact the fleet? Yes. Tell Captain Tae-sung to bring the Soul's Pride to full alert. Have all ships check their weapons. Kethlar felt ice in his blood. The humans had weapons ready. They expected trouble. As the station erupted into organized chaos around them, Kethlar realized something terrifying. The humans were not surprised by this attack. They had been ready for war from the moment they arrived. The peaceful meeting was over. Now he would see what humans were really like when they faced danger, and something deep in his mind told him he was not going to like what he learned. The station shook as massive shapes appeared on the long-range screens. Kethalar had never seen ships like these before. They were not built. They looked grown. Dark metal curved like bones. Strange, flesh-like material covered their hulls. They moved through space like living things swimming through water. What are those? Dr. Velteron whispered. Commander Raxthor studied the readings. His face had gone pale blue. Unknown. The computer cannot identify their design, but there are hundreds of them. Admiral Dong-Wu stood near the main screen. He looked calm, but Kethler noticed his hands were pressed flat against his sides, a fighting stance. Show me their movement patterns, he said. The screen changed to show the approaching fleet's path. The alien ships moved in perfect formation, like a school of deadly fish. They were heading straight for the research station. They are not slowing down, reported the station sensor officer. Impact in 4 hours, 37 minutes. Doctor, Veltarin turned to her staff. Begin evacuation procedures. All non-essential personnel to the escape pods. Wait, Admiral Dongwu said. May I suggest something? Commander Raxthor nodded. Send a message to your fleet. Tell them to prepare for combat, but stay back. My ships will move forward and try to communicate with these visitors. That is very brave, Commander Raxthor said. But you only have 3 ships. They have hundreds. Admiral Dong-Wu smiled, and this time it did reach his eyes. But it was not a pleasant smile. 3 ships can do a lot of damage if used correctly. Kethalar watched as the human admiral spoke into his communication device. The words were in human language, but the tone was clear. Orders. Battle commands. Dr. Haijin moved to another console. Admiral, the Soul's Pride reports ready for combat. Captain Tae-sung asks if he should use Protocol 7. Not yet, Admiral Dong-Wu replied. Let us see what we are dealing with first. The station's screens showed 3 human ships moving, away from the station. They were much smaller than the approaching alien vessels. Kethlar thought they looked like tiny insects flying toward a storm. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. Unknown language. Very complex pattern. Dr. Haijin listened to the strange sounds. After a moment, she shook her head. Not language. It sounds like instructions, commands to a machine or animal. Admiral Dongwu's face became very still. Hive mind, They are not individuals. They are parts of something bigger. The alien fleet suddenly changed formation. The ships spread out like fingers reaching for the human vessels. Their speed increased. They are accelerating. The sensor, officer reported. They will reach the human ships in 20 minutes. Kethlar watched the tactical display. The human ships looked so small compared to their enemies. Should they not retreat? He asked. Admiral Dongwu heard him. Retreat is not always the best option, he said quietly. The first contact came faster than expected. The alien ships opened, fire with weapons that looked like living lightning. Purple energy struck the human vessel closest to them. But the human ship did not try to avoid the attack. Instead, it flew directly into the enemy formation. "What is Captain Tae-sung doing?" Dr. Velteran gasped. Kethlar watched in horror as the human ship took massive damage. Its shields failed. Hull plates flew off into space. But it kept moving. Forward, firing all its weapons at the largest alien vessel. "He is using his ship as a weapon," Admiral Dongwu explained calmly. "Captain Tae-sung is very good at this." The human ship struck the alien vessel at full speed. Both ships exploded in a ball of white fire. The explosion was so bright that the station's windows automatically darkened. When the light faded, both ships were gone. Pieces of metal and organic material drifted through space. The Confederation officers stared in shock. Commander Raxthor's mouth hung open. He destroyed his own ship." "Yes," Admiral Dongwu said. "Captain Tae-sung was a good man. His sacrifice just taught us something important about our enemies." Kethlar could not understand how the human could speak so calmly about his friend's death. "What did you learn?" "Their ships are organic. Living things. When they die, they send signals to the others. Watch. On the screen, the alien fleet was changing formation again. They moved differently now, more carefully. They had learned to fear the humans. The second human ship, much smaller than the first, began moving in strange patterns. It flew in circles, around the alien formation, staying just out of weapon range. "What is that ship doing?" Dr. Velteran asked. Dr. Haijin checked her readings. "It is scanning them, learning their weaknesses." The small human ship suddenly stopped moving in circles. It turned and flew straight toward the center of the alien formation. Dozens of enemy ships fired at it, but it was too fast. Purple lightning flashed around it, but the ship kept moving. The human vessel reached the largest remaining alien ship and attached itself to its hull. Kethlar could see small figures in spacesuits moving across the enemy ship's surface. "Boarding action," Admiral Dongwu said with approval. "Commander Yu Jin leads a very good team." Explosions began to appear on the alien ship's surface. First, small ones, then larger. The ship began to shake and spin out of control. "They are destroying it from the inside," Commander Raxthor said in amazement. "Yes, much more efficient than attacking from outside." The alien ship exploded, but this time, the explosion was different. It started from inside and spread outward like a disease. Other alien ships near it began to shake and malfunction. "The organic ships are connected," Dr. Haijin observed. "When one dies in the right way, it affects the others." The alien fleet was in chaos now. Ships crashed into each other. Some flew in random directions. The perfect formation was broken. The third human ship, the Soul's Pride, had been waiting far from the battle. Now it moved forward, but not toward the aliens. It flew toward the research station. "Soul's Pride to station," came Captain Tae-sung's voice over the radio. Kethlar was confused. Had the captain not died? Admiral Dong-Wu saw his confusion. That was Captain Tae-sung's brother, Min-sung. Many humans have the same family name. Captain Min-sung's voice was calm and professional. Admiral, we have confirmed enemy weaknesses. Request permission to begin full assault. Permission granted. Use Protocol 7. Kethlar did not know what Protocol 7 meant, but he was about to find out. The Soul's pride began to glow. Energy readings from the ship climbed higher and higher. The ship's engines burned brighter than stars. They are overloading their reactor, the station's engineer reported. That ship is going to explode! Yes, Admiral Dong-Wu said simply. The Soul's pride flew toward the alien fleet at impossible speed. The aliens tried to stop it, but their formation was still broken from the previous attacks. Purple lightning struck the human ship again and again, but it would not stop. When the Soul's pride reached the center of the alien fleet, it exploded. But this was not a normal explosion. The human ship had turned itself into a bomb designed to destroy organic vessels. The explosion sent out waves of energy that made the alien ship scream. Kethlar could hear it through the station's speakers, a sound like dying animals. One by one, the alien ships stopped moving. They drifted in space like dead fish. The battle was over. 3 human ships had destroyed hundreds of alien vessels. The conference room was completely silent. Everyone stared at the tactical display showing the floating wreckage. Finally, Commander Raxthor spoke. How did you know how to fight them? Admiral Dong-Wu sat down heavily in his chair. For the first time, he looked tired. We did not know, but humans are very good at learning during battle. Each attack taught us something new. Dr. He-jin was checking her instruments. Admiral, I am detecting more ships approaching. Much larger fleet. These attackers were just scouts. Kethlar felt his skin turn black with terror. If those had been scouts, what was coming next? Admiral Dong-Wu stood up again. His tiredness was gone, replaced by something that made Kethlar step backward. The human's eyes had become very bright and very cold. Dr. Veltarin, I suggest you evacuate this station immediately. Commander Raxthor, please contact your fleet. Tell them to fall back to defensive positions. What about you? Dr. Veltarin asked. Humanity will handle the main fleet. Admiral Dong-Wu smiled again, and this time Kethlar understood why other species might fear humans. We have been preparing for this kind of fight our whole lives. As alarms began ringing again and people ran to evacuation pods, Kethlar realized something that chilled him to his bones. The humans had not been surprised by this attack because they expected it. They lived in a universe where everything wanted to kill them. And they had become very, very good at killing back. The real battle was about to begin. The evacuation ships moved away from Research Station Theta 7 in organized groups. Kethlar found himself aboard the Confederation flagship Harmony's Voice, watching the empty station grow smaller through the window. Admiral Dong-Wu had come with them, leaving his destroyed fleet behind. The main alien force will arrive in 18 hours, reported the ship's sensor officer. We count over 3,000 vessels. Size unknown. Fleet Admiral Kolthon, the highest-ranking Confederation officer, stood at the center of the command bridge. His species was tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. He had commanded fleets for 40 years but had never fought a real war. Admiral Dong-Wu, Kolthon said formally, we are grateful for your help against the scouts. But this main fleet is too large. We must retreat to the inner systems and call for reinforcements. Admiral Dongwu was studying the tactical displays. He had been quiet for the past hour, watching the sensor readings and making notes on a small device. "May I ask you something, Admiral Colton?" "Of course. How long has the Confederation been at peace?" 3,200 years since the founding," Admiral Dongwu nodded slowly. "And in all that time, have you fought any wars?" "Small conflicts, border disputes, pirate raids, nothing major." "I see." Admiral Dongwu looked around the bridge. "May I speak to your command staff? I have some ideas that might help." Fleet Admiral Colthon gestured to the conference room attached to the bridge. The senior officers followed them inside. Kethlar came too, as the official observer. When everyone was seated, Admiral Dongwu activated his portable device. Images appeared in the air above the table: star charts, ship designs, tactical formations. "These aliens call themselves the Devourers," he began. "We have fought them before." The room became very quiet. Dr. Hae-Jin, who had also come aboard the flagship, spoke next. "Humanity encountered them 12 years ago at the edge of our space. They consumed an entire star system before we stopped them." "How did you stop them?" asked Commander Telvar, the Confederation's chief tactical officer. "We destroyed every single one of their ships," Admiral Dongwu said simply. "And then we studied their wreckage to learn how to fight them better." The images changed to show recordings from that ancient battle. Kethlar watched human ships fighting the same type of organic vessels they had just encountered. But this battle was different. The humans fought with a cold efficiency that made his skin crawl. "The Devourers are a hive mind," Dr. Hae-Jin explained. "Individual ships cannot think for themselves. They follow orders from larger command vessels. Kill the command ships, and the others become helpless." "But there are thousands of them," Fleet Admiral Colthon protested. "Yes," Admiral Dongwu agreed. "Which is why we need to use different tactics." The images changed again, showing battle plans that made no sense to Kethlar. "Tell me, Admiral, how does the Confederation usually fight?" "We form defensive lines. Protect our important ships with smaller vessels. Use long-range weapons to keep enemies at a distance." Admiral Dongwu was quiet for a moment. "That will not work against the Devourers. They do not fear death because they are not truly alive. They will sacrifice 1,000 ships to destroy one of yours." "Then what do you suggest?" Commander Telvar asked. "We need to think like humans." Dr. Hae-Jin activated another set of images. These showed Earth's history: cities burning, armies clashing, weapons that could destroy continents. Humanity spent 10,000 years learning how to kill efficiently, she said in the same tone she might use to discuss the weather. "We fought with sticks and stones, then metal weapons, then explosives, then energy weapons, then planet killers." The images showed progressively more devastating weapons. Kethlar watched cities disappear in flashes of light. Entire continents turned to glass. Oceans boiled away. "We learned that there are no rules in real war," Admiral Dongwu continued. "Only winning and losing. The Devourers understand this. Your people do not." Fleet Admiral Colthon looked uncomfortable. "We have laws about warfare, rules that protect civilians and limit destruction." "The Devourers do not follow your laws," Dr. Hae-Jin pointed out. "They will eat your civilians. They will consume your worlds. Rules only work when both sides agree to follow them." Admiral Dongwu stood and moved to the star chart. "We need to change how you think about this battle. You see 3,000 enemy ships and think about how to defend against them. We see 3,000 targets and think about how to destroy them all." "How?" Commander Telvar asked. The tactical display changed to show the approaching Devourer fleet. Admiral Dongwu pointed to the center of the formation. The command ships are in the middle, protected by thousands of smaller vessels. A normal attack would try to fight through all those ships to reach the center. We would lose. Then how do we reach them? Fleet Admiral Colthon asked. We do not fight through them. We make them come to us. Dr. Hyejin pulled up new images. Humans learned this tactic during the siege of New Tokyo. When an enemy has more soldiers than you, make them attack you in a place where their numbers do not matter. The plan was simple, but terrifying. The human ships would position themselves near an inhabited planet. When the Devourers attacked, they would use the planet's gravity and atmosphere as weapons. You want to fight near New Kepler? Fleet Admiral Colthon said in shock. That world has 3 billion people. Yes, Admiral Dongwu said calmly. The civilians will need to be evacuated to shelters. Some will die. But if we fight here in open space, everyone will die. Kethalar listened to the plan with growing horror. The humans wanted to turn an entire star system into a battlefield. They spoke of acceptable losses and strategic sacrifices like they were discussing supply logistics. There is another element, Dr. Hyejin said. The Devourers learn from each battle. If any of their ships escape, they will return with better tactics. We must destroy them completely. All of them? Commander Telvar asked. Every single ship, Admiral Dongwu confirmed. This is what humans call total war. We do not fight to win battles. We fight to end wars. The room was silent for a long time. Finally, Fleet Admiral Colthan spoke. What weapons would you need? Everything you have. And some things you probably do not have. Admiral Dongwu activated another display. These are the specifications for human military equipment. We can help you build what you need. Kethalar looked at the weapon designs and felt sick. Bombs. That could crack planets. Viruses that attacked organic technology. Fields that tore apart matter at the atomic level. These weapons, Commander Telvar whispered. They could destroy entire star systems. Yes, Dr. Hyejin said. That is the point. When you fight for survival, you use everything. But what about after the war? Fleet Admiral Colthon asked. What happens to these weapons when the fighting is over? Admiral Dongwu looked directly at him. Admiral, with respect, you are thinking like someone who has never fought a real war. First, we survive. Then we worry about what comes next. Over the next 6 hours, Kethalar watched the humans transform the Confederation fleet. Peaceful exploration ships were fitted with weapons designed to kill living vessels. Scientific equipment was turned into tools of war. Even medical ships were converted to carry bombs. The most disturbing part was how naturally the humans did this work. They moved through the fleet like they had planned for this moment their entire lives. Every ship became part of a larger machine designed for one purpose: complete destruction of the enemy. Admiral Dongwu, Kethalar said during a brief rest period. How did humanity become so good at war? The human was checking weapon placement on a converted cargo ship. We had no choice, he said without looking up. On Earth, everything tries to kill everything else. Plants, animals, weather, disease. We learned to fight, or we died. But you have peace now. Admiral Dongwu finally looked at him. Do we? We are about to fight aliens that want to eat us. How is that different from fighting other humans who wanted to kill us? Kethalar had no answer for that. As the Devourer fleet drew closer, the humans made final preparations. They positioned ships in formations that looked random, but followed mathematical patterns too complex for Kethlar to understand. They prepared weapons that violated several Confederation treaties. They planned tactics that no peaceful species would ever consider, and through it all, they remained completely calm. Kethlar, Dr. Hyojin said as the final hour approached. You should understand. Something? Humans do not enjoy war, but we are very, very good at it. We have spent our entire history learning how to destroy our enemies completely. Is that why other species should fear you? Kethlar asked. Dr. Hyojin was quiet for a moment. No, she said finally. They should fear us, because when we decide, something must die, it dies, and we never, ever give up. The Devourer fleet entered the system. The battle for the survival of the Confederation was about to begin, and Kethlar was starting to understand that the humans might be more dangerous than the monsters they were fighting. The Devourer fleet filled the sensor screens like a dark cloud. 3,000 organic ships moved toward New Kepler in perfect formation. Each vessel pulsed with sickly light, as if alive and hungry. Kethlar stood on the bridge of the Harmony's Voice, watching the human preparations. Admiral Dongwu had not slept in 36 hours. His uniform was wrinkled and his eyes were red, but his hands remained steady as he gave orders. Signal all ships, Admiral Dongwu commanded. Begin Phase 1. On the tactical display, Kethlar watched human engineers approach New Kepler's 3 moons. The planet's gravity held these rocky satellites in stable orbits that had not changed for millions of years. The humans were about to change that. What are they doing? Fleet Admiral Kolthan asked. Dr. Hyojin answered without looking up from her calculations. Turning the moons into weapons. We call it kinetic bombardment. Kethlar watched in fascination and horror as small human ships landed on the largest moon. They carried mining equipment and fusion charges, tools meant for peaceful construction, work. But the humans were not building anything. Captain So Young reports charges in position, came a voice over the communication system. Admiral Dongwu checked his display. Confirmed. Begin countdown. Admiral, Fleet Admiral Kolthan said urgently. Those explosions will destabilize the moon's orbit. It could crash into New Kepler. That is the plan, Admiral Dongwu replied calmly. The first explosion lit up the moon's surface like a small sun, then another, then dozens more. The fusion charges were precisely placed along geological fault lines that the humans had mapped in just a few hours. Kethlar felt the deck vibrate under his feet as gravitational waves reached their ship. On the sensor display, the largest moon began to crack apart. Gravitational distortion detected, reported the science officer. The moon is breaking up, but it was not breaking randomly. The human engineers had calculated exactly where each piece would go. Massive chunks of rock, some the size of cities, began moving toward the approaching Devourer fleet. How long until impact? Admiral Dongwu asked. 14 minutes for the first wave. 28 minutes for the main bombardment. The Devourers had detected the threat. Their fleet began changing formation, trying to avoid the incoming rocks. But the humans had thought of this too. Activate the gravity generators, Admiral Dongwu ordered. Hidden among the moon fragments were small devices that created artificial gravity fields. As the Devourer ships tried to dodge, these devices pulled them back into the path of the rocks. The first impacts were spectacular. Massive chunks of stone struck the organic ships at incredible speed. The alien vessels were tough, But nothing could survive a direct hit from a mountain moving at orbital velocity. First wave impact, Dr. Hai Jin reported. Estimated 300 enemy vessels destroyed. But the main Devourer fleet was still coming. They had learned to avoid the larger fragments and were pushing through the debris field. Phase 2. Admiral Dongwu announced. The second moon exploded. This time, the fragments were smaller, but moving faster. They spread out like a shotgun blast, covering a much wider area. Admiral, Kethlar said quietly, the fragments that missed the alien fleet, they will hit New Kepler. Admiral Dongwu nodded. Yes, we estimate 12 million civilian casualties from the impacts. Kethlar stared at him. 12 million people will die? Better than 3 billion, Dr. Hai Jin said without emotion. If the Devourers reach the planet, they will consume every living thing. Kethlar watched the tactical display as pieces of the second moon rained down on both the alien fleet and the planet below. Cities protected by energy shields survived, but rural areas were devastated. Millions of people died in seconds. The humans showed no emotion at all. Phase 3, Admiral Dongwu said. The third moon did not explode. Instead, human ships attached, massive engines to its surface. Slowly, the entire moon began moving out of its orbit. They are turning the whole moon into a projectile, Fleet Admiral Kolthon whispered. The moon accelerated toward the center of the Devourer formation. It was moving slowly compared to the fragments, but its size made it unstoppable. The aliens fired everything they had at it, but their weapons could only chip small pieces from its surface. Impact in 6 minutes, Dr. Hai Jin announced. Kethlar could see Captain So Young's ship still attached to the moon's surface. Why has that captain not evacuated? Someone needs to guide the moon to the correct target, Admiral Dongwu explained. Captain So Young volunteered. She will die. Yes. Kethlar could not understand how the humans could sacrifice their own people so easily. Does she have a family? 2 children and a husband, Dr. Hai Jin said, checking her records. They understand. Over the communication system, Captain So Young's voice remained calm and professional as she guided the moon toward its target. Trajectory optimal. Impact. Zone confirmed. All ships clear the area. The moon struck the center of the Devourer fleet, like the fist of an angry god. The explosion was visible from half a star system away. Hundreds of alien ships were crushed instantly. The shockwave destroyed hundreds more, but Captain So Young died with them. Tactical assessment, Admiral Dongwu requested. Approximately 1,800 enemy vessels remaining, reported the sensor officer. They are scattered and disorganized. Good. Now we can fight them properly. The Confederation fleet moved forward to engage the surviving Devourers. But the battle was not like anything Kethlar had seen before. The humans had taught the other species their tactics. Confederation ships no longer tried to protect themselves. Instead, they flew directly into enemy formations, using their own destruction as weapons. Medical ships loaded with explosives rammed into command vessels. Cargo haulers overloaded their reactors and turned themselves into bombs. This is madness, Fleet Admiral Kolthon said. This is war, Admiral Dongwu replied. Kethlar watched a Confederation science vessel deliberately crash into a Devourer mothership. Both ships exploded, but the alien vessel was larger and more important. The trade was worth it. Admiral, came Captain Minho's voice over the radio. The human officer was commanding a mixed group of Confederation and human ships. Enemy command. Cluster identified. Requesting permission for final assault. Admiral Dong-Wu studied the tactical display. A group of large Devourer vessels had formed a defensive circle in the asteroid belt. These were the command ships that controlled the entire fleet. Permission granted. Use Protocol Omega. Kethlar had learned to fear human protocols. What is Protocol Omega? Dr. Hyojin was already programming the communication system. Complete sterilization. We send a message to all remaining enemy ships. Any vessel that does not surrender will be destroyed. Any vessel that tries to escape will be hunted down and destroyed. And if they surrender, we destroy them anyway, Admiral Dong-Wu said simply. The Devourers cannot be reasoned with. They can only be eliminated. Captain Minho's assault force approached the command cluster. The Devourers fought desperately, using their remaining ships as shields. But the humans had one more surprise. Virus deployment confirmed, Dr. Hyojin reported. The humans had learned that the organic Devourer ships were vulnerable to biological weapons. Computer viruses designed to attack living tissue spread through the enemy fleet like a plague. One by one, the alien ships began to malfunction. Their organic hulls rotted away. Their living weapons died. Even their ability to think was attacked by the virus. All enemy command vessels destroyed, Captain Minho reported. Remaining ships are powerless. The surviving Devourer vessels drifted helplessly in space. Without their command ships, they were just empty shells. Finish them, Admiral Dong-Wu ordered. The Confederation fleet moved through the debris field, destroying every remaining alien vessel. They showed no mercy. Ships that tried to hide were hunted down. Ships that appeared dead were destroyed anyway. When it was over, 3,000 Devourer vessels had been reduced to floating wreckage. Not a single alien ship escaped. Battle assessment complete, Dr. Hyojin announced. Total enemy casualties, 100%. Our casualties, 47%. Kethlar stared at the numbers. Nearly half the Confederation fleet had been destroyed. Millions of civilians on New Kepler were dead. An entire star system had been turned into a graveyard. But the humans acted like they had won a great victory. Excellent work, Admiral Dong-Wu said to his staff. Begin salvage operations. We need to study the wreckage to prepare for their next attack. Next attack? Fleet Admiral Kolthon asked. The Devourers will send another fleet when this one does not return, Dr. Hyojin explained. Probably larger. We have 6 months to prepare. Kethlar looked out at the ruined star system. Pieces of moons drifted past the window. The glow of burning ships lit up the darkness. Is this what humanity calls victory? He asked. Admiral Dong-Wu followed his gaze. No, he said quietly. This is what we call survival. Victory comes when we find their home worlds and make sure they can never threaten anyone again. For the first time, Kethlar understood what made humans truly terrifying. They did not fight to win battles. They fought to end wars, completely, forever. And they would sacrifice anything, including themselves, to achieve that goal. 3 days after the battle, Kethlar sat in the observation lounge of the evacuation ship Eternal Sanctuary. Through the large windows, he could see the remains of New Kepler's moons drifting through space like broken teeth. The planet itself was scarred but alive. Most of its people had survived. The humans had won, but Kethlar no longer felt safe. Observer Kethlar, a voice behind him spoke in careful, precise tones. He turned to see Dr. Hyojin approaching with a datapad in her hands. She looked exactly the same as before the battle. Calm, professional, completely unaffected by the destruction they had. Witnessed. Dr. Haye Jin. Please, sit down. She took the chair across from him. I understand you are writing a report for the Confederation Council about humanity. Yes. They want to know what kind of species you really are. Dr. Haye Jin nodded. That is wise. We are not like your other member species. She activated her data pad. I brought some information that might help your report. The device projected images into the air between them, star charts, ship designs, tactical analyses. But these were not about the recent battle. They showed human space, dozens of star systems, hundreds of worlds, thousands of ships. This is humanity's current territory, Dr. Hyojin explained. We control 47 star systems. We have colonies on 216 worlds. Our population is roughly 800 billion people. Kethlar studied the images. Human space was much larger than he had thought. Your species grows quickly. We must. Space is dangerous. The images changed to show other alien species, not members of the Confederation. These are the threats we face on our borders. The Void Hunters to the north, the Machine Collective to the east, the Flesh Shapers to the south. Each enemy was more terrifying than the last. The Void Hunters consumed stars themselves. The Machine Collective turned entire planets into factories. The Flesh Shapers... Kethalar did not want to know what they did. We are at war with all of them, Dr. Hyojin said simply. Always. At the same time? Yes. Humanity learned long ago that peace is temporary. War is the natural state of the universe. The images showed human battle fleets engaged with each enemy. The tactics were similar to what Kethlar had seen against. The Devourers, efficient, brutal, completely focused on destroying the enemy. How do you fight so many wars at once? Practice, planning, and the understanding that we have no choice. Dr. Hyojin leaned forward. Kethalar, your confederation has existed for 3,000 years in peace. Do you know why? Kethalar thought about it. Because we are civilized. We solve problems with words, not weapons. No. You have peace because you were lucky. You live in a quiet part of the galaxy, far from the real dangers. But now those dangers have found you. The images changed to show long-range sensor data. More alien fleets were moving toward Confederation space. Dozens of them. The Devourers were just the beginning, Dr. Hyojin explained. When one predator species finds new territory, others follow. Within 10 years, your space will be invaded by at least 6 different hostile civilizations. Kethlar felt his skin turning black with fear. What can we do? Accept humanity's protection, or learn to fight like we do. And if we refuse? Dr. Hyojin was quiet for a moment. Then in 10 years, the Confederation will no longer exist. The images disappeared. Dr. Hyojin put away her data pad and stood up. Wait, Kethalar said. What would humanity's protection cost? Everything. Dr. Hyojin looked out at the ruined star system. Your people would need to change. Your peaceful nature, your laws about warfare, your belief that all problems can be solved with diplomacy, all of that would have to go. You would make us like you. We would teach you to survive. Whether you become like us is your choice. Kethlar thought about the battle he had witnessed, the casual sacrifice of millions of lives, the complete destruction of the enemy, the cold calculation that turned entire moons into weapons. What if we choose to fight on our own? Then you will lose, and when you are dead, Humanity will avenge you, not because we care about your people, but because letting your killers live would make us look weak. The honesty was terrifying. Dr. Hai-Jin spoke of genocide like a business transaction. "I need to ask you something," Kethlar said. "During the battle, I saw humans sacrifice themselves without hesitation. Captain So Young guided that moon to her death. Captain Tae Sung destroyed his own ship. Why do you do this?" Dr. Hai-Jin sat back down. For the first time, her professional mask slipped slightly. "Because we understand something your people do not. Individual lives do not matter. Only the survival of the species matters." "That seems cold." "It is practical. Captain So Young died, but her sacrifice saved billions of people. Her children will grow up in a universe where the devourers are extinct. That is worth her life." "But what about her husband? Her children? Do their feelings not matter?" "Of course they matter. They will grieve. But they will also understand that their mother died for something important." Dr. Hai-Jin paused. "This is what makes humans different from other species. We can love someone completely and still send them to die if necessary." Kethlar shuddered. "How did you become this way?" "Earth made us this way. Our planet tried to kill us for millions of years. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, meteor impacts, predators, diseases, other humans. We learned that sentiment is a luxury we cannot afford. But you have emotions. I have seen humans laugh, cry, love their families. Yes, emotions make us fight harder. Love for our children makes us willing to die to protect them. But we never let emotions make tactical decisions for us." The conversation was interrupted by an announcement over the ship's communication system. "All passengers, please report to the main assembly hall. Admiral Dongwu will address the evacuation fleet." Kethlar and Dr. Hai-Jin made their way to the large auditorium at the center of the ship. Thousands of Confederation citizens filled the seats, survivors from the research station and refugees from New Kepler's surface. Admiral Dongwu stood at the podium, looking tired but confident. Behind him, a large screen showed the current tactical situation. "People of the Confederation," he began, "you have seen what war looks like in the modern galaxy. You have learned that your enemies will not follow your rules or respect your peaceful nature." The screen showed the approaching alien fleets that Dr. Hai-Jin had mentioned. Dots of light moving toward Confederation space like a plague. "Humanity offers you a choice," Admiral Dongwu continued. "We will help you build the defenses you need to survive. We will teach you the tactics necessary to defeat your enemies. We will stand beside you in battle." Murmurs spread through the audience. Some people looked hopeful. Others seemed frightened. But understand this: accepting our help means accepting our methods. We do not fight fair wars. We do not show mercy to enemies. We do not value individual lives over species survival. The screen changed to show human military installations, massive fortresses that could destroy entire fleets, weapons that violated every Confederation treaty about warfare. "We will build these defenses in your space. We will train your people to use them. And when the next invasion comes, we will destroy your enemies so completely that they can never threaten you again." An elderly Confederation senator stood up. "Admiral, what guarantee do we have that humanity will not turn these weapons against us?" Admiral Dongwu smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "None. You will have to trust us. And if we refuse your help, then you will die, and we will build these defenses anyway, in the ruins of your civilization." The auditorium fell silent. Everyone understood the choice they were being offered. Accept humanity's protection and lose their peaceful way of life, or refuse and face extinction. After the assembly, Kethlar returned to his quarters to write his final report. He sat at his desk for hours, trying to find words to describe what he had learned about humanity. Finally, he began to type. To the Confederation Council, I have observed humanity during combat operations against hostile alien forces. My conclusions are as follows. Humanity is the most dangerous species I have ever encountered, not because they are evil, but because they are efficient. They have turned warfare into a science. They view the universe as a hostile environment where only the strongest survive. They offer us protection, but at a price we may not be willing to pay. Under human guidance, we would become like them, cold, calculating, willing to sacrifice anything for survival. But I have also learned something else. The galaxy is full of species far worse than humans. The devourers would have consumed us all. The other threats approaching our space will show no mercy. Humanity may be dangerous, but they are dangerous to our enemies. They fight not for conquest, but for survival. And they are very, very good at it. My recommendation, accept their offer. Learn their methods. Become what we must become to survive. The alternative is extinction. And after what I have seen, I believe extinction is worse than becoming monsters. Kethlar finished his report and transmitted it to the council. Then he sat back in his chair and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human engineers were already beginning construction of the fortress stations that would protect Confederation space. Within a year, peaceful exploration ships would be replaced by warships. Within 5 years, Confederation children would be learning human military tactics in school.